I wanted to do the cutting of this piece on camera because this is, I think, one of the tricky bits for resizing, being two different sizes, because this is the bodice back, so this is number 3, so that's the back here. And what's tricky about this is, like I said, my bust line is smaller than my waistline. So my waistline is going to be at the 22 line, and my bust is going to be at the 20. And I want to show you how, since this is one piece, we want to start off at the 20 up here and go down to the 22 over here. So I want to show you guys exactly how I'm going to do that. And at this point, I'm not going to be addressing the extra 2 inches I need to put on. I'm going to address that a little bit later with expanding the pattern piece. So this is really kind of customizing a pattern piece, I guess. So as you can see on the piece, it's got a jog here. This is the 22 line, and then this is the 20. So this part is going to be cut on the 20. But then here we want to jump to this 22. So what I'm going to do, because this essentially is the waist area here, is I'm going to actually start to bring this out here, because I want to make sure that this cut back in the fabric matches up properly. So I'm going to take my handy pen and I'm just going to lightly draw a sloped line from the corner of size 22 back to size 20, so that when I cut this, I'm actually going to slope it towards this way and then cut back that way. So, like I said, up here, up at the top, I'm going to start my cut on the 20. And then I'm going to start angling over. And I'm doing it more, when I sketched out the line, it was very sharp at an angle. But here, when I cut it, I just kind of rounded it towards that angle. And then now I'm going to start cutting on the 22. This is now what our back bodice piece looks like. Again, I know I keep saying this, but this is on the 20, and then it curves out to meet where the 22 starts. And then that 22 jogs in and down. So that is how I'm going to customize this pattern pieces to be for the 2 sizes. So now that we have that done, all of our pieces are all cut out to the sizes we need. So now what I'm going to do is actually work on adding the +2 on our 2 identified pieces. Because again, those pieces are number 3, which is the bodice back, and number 2, which is the bodice lower front. So I'm going to do the resizing of my pieces a little bit different than I did the first time around. And that's because I want, you know what, honestly, it's because I want to try both methods and see what works better and what gives a better fit. The last time, as you know, we cut the pattern piece and kind of adjusted the width while it was on the fabric, which is a little tricky because, you know, you gotta line up the pieces and things like that. So that can get a little tricky. So this time we're going to use just some like newspaper or some other kind of fairly stiff paper that you have. And we're going to use a Sharpie. So what we're going to do is we're going to actually expand the pieces. On every pattern piece there, as you're cutting it, you're probably noticing that for each size it expands at certain areas. So on this number 2 piece, as you can see, the only expansion is on this side of the piece. So when I'm talking about expanding and when I'm showing you, it's all going to be done on this side of the piece. I know that my pattern needs to be expanded by 2 inches. So what we're going to do is we have 3 pattern pieces. We have 1 3 and 2 2s. Okay, I'm going to take that 2 inches and I'm going to divide it between the 2 patterns because they're both like, this is 2 is going to be 2 separate pieces and 1 is going to fold out for the entire back, but essentially be, in thought process, 2 pieces. So we're going to add an inch onto number 2 and an inch onto number 3. And since we're adding an inch onto number 2, there is going to be 2 pieces, so we only need to add a 1/2 inch to each piece. I really hope that makes sense. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay this piece onto my newspaper. I'm going to actually flip that over. And I'm going to take this onto the back of my pattern piece. So essentially we're going to use the newspaper to create more pattern. And we don't want that to move around on us. So I'm going to measure out a 1/2 inch from my pattern piece. And then just draw a line on my newspaper. I'm going to do that straight down the pattern. And then I'm just meeting up the lines. Oops. What I did was I just measured 1/2 inch from each of the areas and then connected up the lines. So basically expanding this piece by 1/2 inch. Okay, so now I'm going to cut out my pattern right along this line that I just created. And ta-da! There we go. We have our extended pattern piece, which is really kind of nifty. Alright, so now we're going to do that with our last piece here. And again, we're going to do the same thing and we're going to extend it by 1/2 inch. And again, the reason why we're extending it by 1/2 inch is because it'll do it. We'll have 1/2 inch on this side and 1/2 inch on this side. And now remember, this is the tricky one because this is the one where we're only doing the 1/2 inch down here on the waistline. So I'm going to go ahead again, bring our pattern piece over. And I'm going to tape our newspaper to the back, and go ahead and make sure that you go past the end here. You know, you don't have to be exact when you tape it on, and that's because, you know, in case you need to, because some of these patterns like curve downward, and you want to make sure that you have enough room down here to expand if you need to. I'm just going to tape it up here. There we go. And I'm going to cut off a bunch of this paper since I don't need it. Okay, so again, I'm laying the ruler down, and the reason why I'm doing it this way is because I want to be able to draw my line at the end of my ruler. So I just go ahead and put the half mark, match up the 1/2 inch mark on this end of the ruler, and then also match it up on this end. So that way if there is a bit of a curve to it, like this one has, I know I'll be capturing that as well. Again, marking the line, and then coming up here and doing the same thing. Okay, and here's where we have our cut back in the pattern, so we want to be sure to represent that. There we go. And then remember how we did the curve? We also need to capture that curve as well here, because we curved to expand from 20 to 22, and then we want to curve that a little more to make up for the new inch, half an inch. So there we go, we have the new line. Which I'm focusing. And again, here is the cut back, and then here's curving back in to meet that 20. Okay, and just like the other ones, I'm going to use my ruler to cut out my new piece. So there we go, we have our added half an inch on our pattern piece. And honestly, I think between the two methods, between doing this method and doing the method where we split the pattern piece and opened it up, I think I prefer this one, just because it keeps your pattern piece a little more intact, and also I think allows you to adjust for curvatures, and it won't be you won't have such a hard time laying it out on the fabric. I think that's how we'll leave things today. Love hearing from you guys, so go ahead in the comment section below. Let me know what's going on. How'd you like the video? Do you have any tips to share? Always love hearing back from you guys, and thumbs up are always appreciated and helps show your support of the vintage, so vintage sewing series. And if you haven't already done so and you want to know when new videos are posted, go ahead and click the subscribe. That will let you know so you don't miss a moment of a vintage vanity. And I will see you guys soon.